Good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land. I am Deleted Scenes, and I would like to welcome you to a movie review of The Exorcist Believer. I would like to thank everybody in the chat. I see a few of you are here already. Faithful Blue Wrench, Connie Cleary, friend of the channel, Emotionally Unstable Amphibian. We also have the emoji queen, Lady Mist. And friend of the channel, Zombie Main. Good to see you. And we have another friend who is joining us for this review. He is backstage. So I'm going to bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, Jedi Bill.
Hello. How it going?
Going pretty well. All right. So The Exorcist Believer. There's been a lot of press concerning this movie. Some good, some less than great. And I saw this movie on Friday the 13th, which was very apt. And I held off on the review because I didn't know where I was on it, And I was doing my show last week, The Other Side of Midnight, with Sin's Corner, who's another film critic here on YouTube. And I was discussing this with her, and I said I really didn't know how I felt about the movie. I was kind of back and forth on it. And she said, just say that, But yeah, I do want to go into a little bit more detail. And it hit me that, go on with somebody who's seen the movie, not only has seen the movie, but also has an appreciation for horror films.
Oh, yeah.
And the first person that came to mind was Bill. So earlier today, I asked him if he could come on and do this kind of impromptu review with me. And because I wanted to hear his thoughts on it. To start off, to explain the plot of the film for a moment, the main character is a single father. He loses his wife during the Haiti earthquake, but not before she gives birth to a daughter. Cut to 13 years later. They are living in Georgia, suburban town. The daughter, along with her best friend, go missing for about 3 days before they are found. And once they are found, both girls claim that they've only been gone for 3 hours. So they have no memory of anything that has happened during that 3 days. So the parents are obviously just glad to have the girls home. And, well, kids, that's when the fun starts, Anyone who is familiar with the Exorcist films, you pretty much know where things go from there. It turns out that the two girls have been possessed by a demon, a familiar one from the earlier films. And this single father, Victor, I think his name is played by Leslie Odom. He decides to enlist some backup in the form of one Chris McNeil, Ellen Burstyn returning from the original film. So, Bill, since you are the guest, um, what were your initial thoughts?
Oh, it it's trying to be well, I don't know if it's trying to be, but it is an Exorcist film, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Um, I watched this like a week ago. Um, I don't know. It's just I didn't like the fact that I was wondering why they brought back I guess to link the films together
Hmm.
as a whole filmology, I guess. Um, yeah, it was decent. Mm.
Hmm. Well, yes, and since I did bring it up, it's no secret to anyone who uh, has been keeping up on the reviews for this movie of the plot. You do have Ellen Burstyn returning from the original film, and there are some who feel that she's kind of shoehorned into the movie. And I kind of disagree. Um, it's, I think it's a matter of whether you feel that this movie should be connected to the others in any way or not. If you're fine with it being connected to the other films, then she's just as good. Um, she's just as good a person as any to bring back, I suppose. There now, um, without going into spoilers just yet, at least, um, there is another character from the original film who shows up, and again, whether or not you are happy to see this person show up is based on whether or not you feel that Ellen Burstyn should be in the movie or not. And that's something that I thought was the thing that was kind of nagging at me, in the last week or so since I've seen the movie. And hello to Darth Plato, and hello to Mermaid Messiah.
Hey, mermaid.
Now, this movie is, in my opinion, it's shot pretty well. The way it's shot, the way it's edited together, it's obvious they are trying to have the same tone as the original movie. But at the same time, I do think that on that basis, it kind of tries a little bit too hard. You know, you have a director in David Gordon Green who is trying to shoot a William Friedkin movie in a style that Friedkin would have done it, but he doesn't have the experience behind the camera to pull that off.
And it kind of shows in a way.
It does kind of show. It I think of it as far as that's concerned, it's trying too hard to be the first movie or to a tonally um, be in the first movie. Mermaid Messiah in the chat is saying the trailer looked good, but tried to throw some diversity in there, which is fine if done well. In the 90s, I didn't think twice, but now it's forced. Yeah. Now, did it bother me that it was two girls who were possessed this time instead of one? No, not really, because you have that whole debate. You have this single father who is an atheist. You know, kind of shuns religion. You also have, you know, the other family that is very faith based, who are churchgoers. So you have that debate in there. Not in this though, just in most things. Sorry, wanted to make that clear. Oh no, I understand. And hello to Troy Pacelli. Sorry we're late. Needed
Hey,
to get
Troy.
a boo sponge. No worries. There was definitely some drinking during the last stream. No worries. Now, on that basis, I do want to talk about one thing that could be considered diverse was the fact that once they get into the exorcism and Hello Nevers Network, once they get into the actual exorcism itself, the third act of the film, you have a Catholic priest, you have um, the priest from the church that one of the families goes one family goes to. You have a woman who's, I guess, kind of a voodoo priestess.
Yeah.
They're kind of they're kind of muddy on that, you know. But basically, it's voodoo, you know. She's got flowers and she's like throwing vinegar everywhere. It's kind of weird. And then you have the character that's played by Ann Dowd, who's a nurse that Victor meets in the hospital where the two girls are taken once they are returned. Well, found really, because they're found in a barn, like the next town over. How they got there exactly is never explained, but there we go. Now, and hello, Spartacus. Now, having this sort of Avengers group, of priests and priestesses there, I think does kind of make the exorcism itself a bit of a clusterfuck. I don't know how you felt about that, Bill, but
Well,
there's a lot of things going on at once at the end of this movie.
yeah, that's what I thought. It was kind of convoluted, and the short runtime of 111 minutes. I thought it was poorly paced. I mean, that's what I don't like about this film.
Well, I got to say, personally, as far as pacing, because I'm kind of at a point, and this is just me. This is not necessarily a critique on the film or me trying to disagree with you, Bill. The hour 50-minute mark for me these days is about where I think a movie should stop. Um, after seeing a number of movies that drag on for 3 hours or 3 hours plus,
Yeah,
that have like an hour of story in them. Having a movie, this is, you know what, we're going to keep it under 2 hours. I'm not going to complain about that. That you had issues with the pacing, and I can understand that up to a point. But with me, I was just happy it wasn't 2.5 hours for no reason. But
Yeah.
again, that's just me. This is a movie that easily could have been longer, but it isn't, and I was happy for that. I think it was at just the perfect enough length. Now going back, uh, to the character of the nurse that's played by Ann Dowd, who you some of you might remember from Hereditary and Compliance, Nothing Sacred, and a number of other films and TV shows. And I want to bring that up because I heard a YouTuber that I have a lot of respect for say he didn't know who she was and she has no credits. That's not true. I've been watching that woman on TV and in movies for 40 years. She hasn't, she's been in a lot of stuff. And she's usually pretty good. However, I don't think her character was written very well. They give her this backstory that I didn't quite buy into. And I'm not sure I completely understand. Now, I don't know if you were thinking this either, Bill, and I wanted your opinion on this.
Yeah.
Do you think having her there at the exorcism was meant to be some kind of a redemption arc for her because of what we find out about her past? Or do you think she was just an extraneous character altogether?
Yeah, I kind of wondered why she needed to be there. I was wondering why. I didn't get why she was needed. Yeah, I kind of felt she might have felt a little out of place.
Mm. So, because I tell you personally, for me, when they get to the exorcism sequence, and spoiler alert, not everybody walks away from the exorcism. We do lose people during the course of it, and
Yep.
as we did in the first film, and that as also in the third. Not everybody gets out of the exorcism alive, and there is a character that expires during the course of this, and in a way that's supposed to be a visual callback to the first movie. And we are supposed to care for this character. The trouble is, we don't spend enough time with this character to really care for him in the way that I think the movie wants us to.
Yeah.
I mean, good character, and yeah, I'm bummed that the guy ends up getting killed, but I think the trouble is we don't have the emotional attachment to him because we are so, we have so many people in the room as this exorcism is going on. I think if they had just kept it solely to the two priests, have the nurse there in the background in case something goes wrong. Granted, okay, but don't have her be a part of the exorcism itself. I think there's just too many characters involved in the third act, and they needed to pare it down. That way, when they start dying, you've had more of the movie to spend with them. And that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It's
yeah.
like, oh, they're gonna bring this guy in to maybe try to be the hero, and then like,
yeah, no,
like no,
no,
we'll just kind of repeat what the first original film did in a way.
And hello, Bellow Triggerfish.
Hello, what's up, buddy?
Before we go on, I don't want to ignore the chat. Spartacus says this movie spits in the face of the writer of the original stories. I don't know if I would personally go to that far unless I knew what the intent of the writers were. Now, the credited writers on this film are David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, who also wrote the last Halloween trilogy, and a fella named Scott Teems. If that name's unfamiliar, he wrote the remake of Pet Sematary a few years ago, which was a movie I was not a fan of. Had some issues with that. I don't think, and again, just my opinion, I don't know. It's kind of like the same problem that I have with the direction. I think they were a little bit over their skis trying to make an Exorcist film, trying to make something that related to the first movie when they were probably better off just kind of taking it as a jumping off point and just going in their own direction. Now, Chris also says having all the exorcists there basically is saying God isn't being enough and nods to the all roads lead to heaven that is pushed by leftists. People who are religious or who study religion, I think they're going to have a very different. They're going to have some different ideas about this movie than those who are maybe are non-believers or. Because I got to say, with me, and again, this is just me, and these are just my opinions. As to whether or not God exists, I'm somebody who believes there's a chance. If that makes sense. Let me put it this way. I don't live my life thinking there's an angel standing over my shoulder, but at the same time, I believe it's possible for angels to exist. It's just that we don't see them. It's kind of like that movie Wings of Desire. Yeah, I can't see you, but I know you're there. That's kind of where I'm at, and so I think that people who are more believers, people who are more in tune with it, people who study religion, I think they're going to have a different thought on this movie. So to go by your statement here, Chris, I don't think you're entirely wrong. I don't know if that was the intent of the filmmakers, but if that was your takeaway, then that's your takeaway. And I'm not going to disagree with you on it. But I just think that they were so busy trying to cover their bases by showing all of these different, by having the Catholic priest there, by having the voodoo priest there, by having the nurse there, who the nurse who, by the way, was originally going to be a nun. That's part of her backstory. She was going to be a nun, and then something happens, and she doesn't go that route. I think having them all there like that did kind of muddy the waters when they could have simplified it and turned more into the direction of what the message of the original movie was. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but Chris is the original writer of The Exorcist. The man who wrote the book was working through religious thoughts when he wrote the book. Absolutely, yeah. I'll watch it on stream. It looks just decent, but nothing even as a token fan beats Shawshank. Well, no, there aren't very many movies that beat Shawshank. Agreed. Right, yes, something is there, though, I hope. Who knows? But not believing in anything is strange. Well, yeah, you got to believe in something. You know. Again, and I really didn't want to turn this review into a religious discussion. I am someone who used to attend church. It wasn't an every week thing, but there were a number of years there where I went. And then when I found out the church, again, because we're on YouTube, I have to censor myself, knew of certain things and allowed them to happen. That's when I kind of turned away. My belief system is still pretty much the same, but that's how that one went. And but I didn't look at this movie from a religious point of view. I looked at it critically as a film on its own, that point of view. And it was a movie I was back and forth on because I didn't hate it. I was with this movie through a good 2/3 of it. And then there's just something about the third act that's off for me. And I think that's the actual exorcism itself. And I think that there's kind of too much going on. I think it's like I said, filmmakers who are a little bit over their skis trying to make a kind of movie that they don't have the chops to pull off yet. And yeah, jump in with me if you agree or disagree with me, Bill. But
Oh yeah.
And again, this is a movie I thought a lot about, and that's okay, Triggerfish. I know. I'm bringing the review
I
part
guess
of it
I would say
back.
I'm on the other side of the fence. I mean,
yeah. I didn't hate it, but at the same time, something is nagging at me that I don't like. It's not the best movie ever made, granted, and I don't think it's trying to be. But at the same time, I don't think it's this complete dumpster fire that some people think it is. Jedi just wants to do karaoke. Yeah.
no.
I know.
No,
But,
no. The thing is, I watched it like
mhm.
over a week ago, and there's not a lot of memorable things from the film that stuck with me.
Mhm.
When I saw The Exorcist, there were a lot of things that still resonate in memory. There's in this film, there's just not a lot of that, hardly at all.
Yeah. So that's
It's
his.
it's easily forgettable because
That's his issue is that's what Bill said. His issue is that he thinks the movie was forgettable, disappointing, I guess, for you, I would say. But
yeah.
for me, it just I don't know. It just I was having this block. I didn't understand after when I right. My initial reaction was I didn't hate the movie. So I didn't understand I didn't understand the issue that people were having with it. But since I have had now a week myself to think about it, I am starting to I'm starting to see the cracks, and it went from it is starting to downgrade in my mind, for various reasons. There are things that I like. I like the way it's shot. I like the way it's edited together. I like the Hades sequence. I know some people thought that went on too long. I disagree. Whether or not Ellen Burstyn needed to be in the movie, again, debatable. Well, and again, Bill, this is something that you could maybe jump in on if you think I'm off base. I didn't mind that she was in the movie, but the way she gets sidelined, I'll put it that way. The way she gets
Yeah.
sidelined, I thought that was kind of dopey.
Yeah,
Because
it makes it her being
yeah,
there kind of just for nostalgia only in a
yeah.
way.
because it's like, again, she's kind of over her skis. And I want to bring up something that Chris says in the chat. Well, them putting in the patriarchy line, sure they didn't know what they were doing with the movie. The mother was emotionally, spiritually, mentally stressed, a disaster if she's in the room. Yeah, up to a point. The patriarchy line, that a lot of critics kind of hinge their reviews on. It's the one line in the movie that could be considered woke. It's just it is just the one line, but it feels shoehorned in. And I'm kind of thinking of it this way. Well, okay, let's consider who says this line. Who's the character that says this line? It's a character who's a Hollywood actress. So of course she's going to throw shit like that out there. Now, he says the mother was emotionally, spiritually, mentally stressed, a disaster if she's in the room with the priests in the first movie. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the and this is an issue that's starting to develop with me. The more that I think about it is that if you're going to walk in that room thinking that you're Karis or Marin, have the decency to remember that Karis and Marin existed in the first place. So yeah, I think Chris is kind of right there. Ellen didn't want to do this movie. She only did it because they agreed to donate money to an acting scholarship she set up. Well, I've got no problem with donating to the scholarship, but if that was going to be her payment, fine. But I have been hearing that she didn't want to do the movie. Whether or not you feel she brings her A game, it is up to various people's opinion. I don't want it to come off like I'm trying to apologize for this movie or something, because I'm not. I'm so back and forth with certain things on it that the more that I talk to other people about it, the more I do start to see what they were seeing, the issues that they had. Because, like I said, this is not a perfect movie. It has issues. I wasn't bored watching it. I didn't feel like I wasted my time watching it. I'm just not 100% on whether or not this movie was necessary, or should have been connected so directly to the original movie.
That's where I agree with you.
Yeah.
Was it necessary? Did we need this? Or just a cash grab? Feels like a cash grab in a way.
Again, I don't want to say cash grab, but I'm not going to argue with people who think so. Let me just put it that way. Now I can tell by some of what's being said in the chat that most of the people in the chat don't like the movie. Understood. I want to make that clear. That is completely understood. I get it. I just think I've seen worse movies than this year. If that makes sense. I don't know. I've gotten to the point to where I've gotten so split on this movie that's kind of where I am on it. because I've been racking my brain trying to figure out how I should rate this movie, and I find myself not really being able to, because it just feels like it's in this nether world all by itself, you know? It's not a great movie. It's not an awful movie. It's just kind of there. And
Yeah.
you can either like or dislike whatever part of it you wish. Um, I don't know. Maybe they should have run this through the typewriter one more time, or like like I said, maybe just not connected this to the just say in the world of The Exorcist, but not necessarily so directly connected to it. Um, Chris says it's like the new Halloween movies. It didn't feel necessary, and the changes weren't needed. They want to make this a trilogy, I believe. Yeah. He also says not looking forward to Bloomhouse movies like he used to.
That's understandable.
Yeah, understandable. Like my thoughts on the Halloween movies. I like 2018. I absolutely hated Kills, um, except for Mike Myers himself. Mike Myers was great, but Michael Myers, I mean, it was great, but yes, Wayne from Wayne's World was stabbing people. No, Wild dressed as the Grinch. It was kind of an odd movie. No, um,
Yeah.
now Michael Myers, good Michael Myers, but he was surrounded by a lot of stupid. Now, the third movie I think would have made I think a lot of people misunderstand my review of the third movie. Um, I think the third movie would have made a really good anthology movie. Now, say Halloween 2 hadn't happened, and we didn't have any of the other sequels, and they kept Season of the Witch, Halloween 3, but they just did as Carpenter originally wanted to do, which was this series of anthology films. So you get this anthology movie. And good night, Mermaid Messiah. We're not going to be too much longer. If they had not told us that Michael Myers was going to be in the movie, if they had not told us Jamie Lee Curtis was in the movie, and they just had the girl take the guy home and introduce her to her grandmother, and then you go, holy shit, it's Laurie. Then I think it would have worked. I think it would have made a good anthology movie. It was not a good ending to a trilogy. So I'm kind of my thought on the David Gordon Green's trilogy is that it's 1 for 2. 1 win, 2 losses. That's where I am on it. Which is why I would say when it comes to Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends, I would rather watch this movie again than those two. That's just my opinion on it. So that's where I am. This is a movie that kind of downgrades itself the more I think about it. I like some things about it. There are other things I don't like, and that's where I am. Anybody who wants to wait and see this movie on streaming, I understand. If there's anybody who doesn't want to see it, I get it. If you didn't like it, fine. If you loved it, great. But we are going to get a trilogy because they are contractually obligated to do a trilogy. The next movie is going to be called Deceiver, The Exorcist at Deceiver. From what I understand, David Gordon Green is not going to direct it. And I don't know how involved with the writing he is, if at all. But, like it or not, folks, we're getting a trilogy out of this because they have to justify the fact that they spent $400 million on this franchise. And I think that's another problem. Box office is going to come back and bite them. Because this is not a movie you're going to get repeat viewings out of. Chris talking about Halloween. It was really sort of silly to decanonize their relationship as siblings. Didn't have Michael crossing paths with her like they were still siblings. Yeah. I'd rather rewatch Exorcist Heretic. At least I can have some fun with that. Yeah, that's fine. There are people who watch the second movie for laughs. I've never seen the second movie straight through, or at least if I have, I don't really remember it. But I only remember ever seeing it on TV, so like commercial TV. So yeah, I don't remember a whole lot about it, to be honest. To me, watch the first and the third movies, and if you want to leave them at that, do that. Any final thoughts, Bill, before we wrap it up?
Not really. I don't
Yeah.
got much to say.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it, folks. This is a movie I think it's safe to say Bill's thumbs down on.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. And me, I'm just kind of mixed. Yeah, I'm sitting here wondering why. And this is not a movie that's going to be on my 10 worst of the year list or anything, because I can already think of 10 movies right off the top of my head that I liked less than this. But this isn't going to be anywhere near my top 10 either. So, if that makes any sense. Yeah, this could have been better. I don't have a hate boner for it, but it could have been much better. I think they tried too hard. All right, so chat. Thank you all for being here, Bill. Thank you for agreeing to come on and
Yeah.
help me hash this movie out. Many others tried and failed, but you win a cookie. I don't know. I don't know. Oh man, does anybody know if there's going to be a class action suit against this movie? Just let me know. No, okay, I'm not going to go that far with it. All right, chat. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for continuing to support the channel. Hit the like, share the stream, say hello in the comments. Likes, dislikes about the movie. Anything you would like to see me review in the future. Chris is saying, trying too hard to be different while using the legacy of the original. You just said with that one line everything I've been trying to say for the last 50 minutes. Yes.
Yeah.
Trying too hard to be different while using the legacy of the original. Thank you very much. My point exactly. You just said it far more succinctly than I did. All right. All right. Thank you, chat. If anybody watching this review, you're new to the channel, or if you are not yet subscribed to Jedi Bill, please do that at this time. I am going to be joining Bill this Sunday for a Western Cinema Sunday. Bill, why don't you tell the folks about the movie we're going to be watching?
We're going to be playing the film Ghost Riders. It's a horror drama western.
Mm-hmm. From
this film,
1987, I believe you said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why Prime has it listed as a 2022 film. Maybe that's when they got it, but yeah, it's from 1987.
Okay. All right.
And it's a relatively short film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of course, you all can join me for later on that night. We're going to be doing Western Cinema Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Central. Join me for Unscripted, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, episode 36, entitled The Answer to Everything is 18. And watch the show for the explanation for that title. And then, of course, join me later on that night, 12:05 Eastern, 11:05 Central, for The Other Side of Midnight. No guests yet, but I'm going to be sending the StreamYard link out to a few people. Maybe even a certain someone who is with me on this show right now. Might get that link. So,
yeah.
All right. Not 42. Not in this case, Chris. Stay tuned to my show. There is a story behind it, and I'll tell everybody all about it Sunday night. All right. Thank you, chat. Thank you, Bill. Thanks, everybody lurking in the background or watching the replay. This was our review of The Exorcist Believer. All right. From HQ and our second home office in Arizona. Good. Oh, shit. Wait. One more thing, folks. I am very sorry. One more thing. I want to remind everybody of a new series that began earlier tonight. I was on Friday night last call with Troy and Netters and the gang over on Troy's channel. We watched the pilot episode of Twin Peaks. This will be a new series, which will be starting over on my channel Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. And we are going to be watching the Twin Peaks TV series from the beginning. We're going to do every episode through all 3 seasons. We're going to discuss the Fire Walk with Me feature film. And we might be discussing the books and all as well. So check that out. I am calling the show live from Sparkwood in 21. And anyone who is familiar with the series, you might get that reference. So that's going to be the name of the show. And we are going to be starting Tuesday, October the 24th, this upcoming Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern. So stay tuned for that and watch the show along with us. Once again, from HQ and our second home office in Arizona, good night, take care, stay strong, because this is how we win.